Welcome to IPTV, Inspired Purpose Television. We are on the Trumpeter's Call prayer line. So glad you joined us. If you are on the phone, come on over, hop on over. The more people we have over here, the higher and higher social media will push us up. We are on YouTube. We are on several Facebook pages. We're going to be on Instagram. Not today, but eventually we will be. There's a lot of things going on. You don't want to miss this. So come on over to Inspire Purpose Television. Okay, last night, as Cheryl mentioned, we had a time at Inspire University. Inspire you. Let us inspire you. We had an incredible time. I am so honored to be a part of this. I want to thank my spiritual father, our visionary, Apostle Eric, and his wife, Teacher Rebecca. Thank you for letting me be a part of this. I was texting Prophet Jackie last night and talked about how I was just honored to be a part of this apostolic prophetic conclave along with her, Pastor Alvin Williams out of Rockford, and of course, as I mentioned, our visionary. So, super excited about that. Okay, this week, I'm telling you, if you can make your way down to the Mackinac, Illinois, you want to come to the International Council of Covenant Ministries Leadership Summit. We have people coming from all over the country. We have people coming from everywhere. I'm talking, we've got East Coast, West Coast, Middle Coast, every kind of coast. We got people from everywhere coming. You want to come. If you can't make it physically, we've got virtual options. Contact us. We would be more than happy to help you. All right. Okay. I'm telling you, some powerful, incredible, powerful teachings that come out of this. You don't want to miss this. All right. Now, you know, it's amazing when I look at what's happening with the Leadership Summit, right? The verse there says Habakkuk 2 and 2, and it says, "And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain." Habakkuk 2 and 2, right? Write the vision and make it plain. That is the theme for the Leadership Summit. And of course, in the Bible class that we have at Inspire You, it's about seers, watchmen, intercessors, dreamers. It is incredible. And I look at that, and again, apostle and bishop are usually in line. Some of that is sometimes they don't even get a chance to talk to each other about things, but the Holy Spirit has them in perfect alignment. And, you know, I don't think it's ironic. Bishop likes to use the term synchronicity when events start happening that are interconnected, but you don't realize how it happened. Uh, I was very fortunate to be able to publish my book, Envision Your Future, and it is available on Amazon. So, I look at this, I look at the summit, I look at what we're doing in the Seers class, I look at how God allowed me to publish the book, thanks in large part to Dr. Muriel Fouquet of You Will Grow, right? She has an incredible business. She helped me edit it, showed me how to publish it. She did a phenomenal job, her and her staff. Okay. All right. And hey, Sister Laura, good to see you. Great to have you on. Um, so she did a fantastic job helping me edit the book. And of course, Dr. Oliver Reed. It's funny, they're both doctor and apostle. Oliver Reed and Dr. Muriel Fouquet, Oliver Reed of Milk Writing Academy, really helped me get started because I was really struggling how to write a book. And, him, along with Apostle Eric, really encouraged me and really helped me get going. So, with that said, I want to talk today about the courage to envision, the courage to envision your future. Now, I can tell you that when I was going through quite a few things, I've talked to you about some of the financial troubles I was having, relationship troubles. I mean, every kind of trouble you can imagine, I had it. And there was something in me when I was going through all these difficulties, when I was going through all these different things, I didn't want to dream anymore. I couldn't see past where I was. All I could see were all of the different issues that were popping up and giving me problems. All I could see was the heartache. All I could see was the disappointment I was having. So, what I want to do is talk about the theme scripture for the conference this week. Habakkuk starts out, Habakkuk chapter 1 and verse 2 and 3. This is before the chapter that we talk about a lot. He says this, Habakkuk chapter 1. Hey, Elder Brown, good to see you. All right, Elder Brown said he was reading the book today. Thank you very much. That's my partner. That's my longtime friend. How long, Lord, must I call for help, but you do not listen? Or cry out violence, but you do not save? Why do you make me look at injustice? Why do you tolerate wrongdoing? Destruction and violence are before me. There is strife and conflict abounds. What is happening to the prophet here? The prophet is looking at the state of the nation of Israel, the state of the nation of Judah at the time. It was a divided nation. And he was looking at this and he was very distraught. You know, if you read this, you would think that he's picking up the paper from today, right? If you pick up the paper from today, if you pick up the newspaper, all kind of things are happening. You know, financial issues and unfortunate lives going way too early, and all kind of difficult things are. You know, that's what makes news in our society, right? All the bad things that could possibly happen to us as people. That's what makes news. We have entire industries based on gossip, right? Gossip columns. People love gossip columns. People love negative news. That's what we have been conditioned to. And Habakkuk is looking at all this stuff and he's like, Lord, where are you? Where are you? Why are all of these incredible things happening? I remember before I got saved, I'm like, if God, if you are for real, why is this happening? My aunt had passed away. I'll never forget. You know, the last things I ever heard from my aunt before she passed, she said, Neil, you're my favorite. I love you. You were so smart and this and that. And I was like, okay, you know, no big deal. I was a teenager at the time. I didn't think anything of it. You know, I'll see you at the next family reunion. And then she was gone. I was like, God, why? Why did this happen? And I wasn't even saved at the time. I'm like, Lord, if you're for real, why did this happen? So Habakkuk is distraught. The prophet is distraught. Yes, as prophetic people, guess what? You're going to deal with a lot of discouragement. There is a lot of attack on prophetic people right now. A lot of attack of discouragement, a lot of attack of negativity, a lot of attack on prophetic people. Why? Because the enemy doesn't want us to see. What does Habakkuk do? Hey, Apostle, good to see you. Whew. All right. So, what does Habakkuk do? Habakkuk says, I am going to stand upon my watch. Okay. I'm going to stand upon my watch. Now, understand that's an elevated position. A watchman, again, we're talking about the seers, watchmen, intercessors, dreamers. You got to get to a different position. You can't stay. Listen, if you stay at this level, you are going to be depressed. You're going to be discouraged. You are going to be disenfranchised. Okay. Nothing worse than somebody who is prophetic, who's supposed to see hope, who's supposed to see purpose, who's supposed to see destiny, not standing upon their watch and standing out in a juniper tree. And trust me, I have stayed at a lot of juniper trees, right? And we start throwing a party, right? And it's a party that no one wants to come to. It's a pity party, okay? But Habakkuk says, I'm going to shake myself. I'm going to stand upon my watch. I'm going to get to an elevated position. How do you get to an elevated position? Well, it's like my good friend Elder Darrell Brown used to say back in college. He used to say, look, if you don't have an answer, get on your knees until you get one. And if you don't get one, stay there till you get one. All right. We used to call that carpet ministry. That's how you get to an elevated position, is by laying out before God. Laying out before God. He says, I'm going to stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower. The name of the Lord is a strong tower. Sometimes when all this noise is attacking us, and Apostle Eric touched on this last night, we've got to declutter our minds. We've got to declutter our spirits. We are constantly bombarded from every direction about all kind of different stimulus, and it's trying to get our attention like this, right? And God says, look, you've got to get upon the tower. You got to stand upon your watch. Why? So that you can watch to see what he will say unto me. Notice this. He says, watch to see. Those are visual. Those are visual, right? What he will say unto me. But what do you mean? Well, say is audio. When somebody speaks, that's audio. But he says, watch to see. Now, last night we touched a little bit on the difference between prophets and seers. And here's the thing. When God speaks, He's going to show you something. He is going to reveal something to you. He is going to reveal something to you. So he says, I'm going to get to an elevated position. I'm going to watch. I'm going to be a good watchman. I'm going to get upon the tower. The name of the Lord is a strong tower. I'm going to get away from all the clutter. I'm going to get away from all the distractions of the day. And I'm going to watch to see. When God speaks, I want to see something. I want to see revelation. And then he says, I will, and what I shall answer when I'm approved. The prophet realized, look, when God speaks, I'm going to have to make some changes. I'm going to get reproved. I know I'm going to get corrected. I honor him. At least he recognized that he was making a mistake. At least he recognized where he was. Sometimes we can be in a spot and we don't even realize how far we have fallen. And we don't even recognize how discouraged, how angry. We don't recognize what kind of an attitude we have. And when somebody comes to talk to us, we attack them. The prophet had enough sense to recognize, look, I know I'm not in a great spot. That's why I've got to hear from God. And what did God say? And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon the tables. Write the vision. When God speaks to us, when he shows us something, we have to capture it. That's something we're talking about in the Seers class last night. Um, uh, an incredible author, a motivational speaker. He's one of the forefathers of the motivational speaking movements, Earl Nightingale. He once said that ideas are like slippery fish. Ideas are like slippery fish, and that's why it's so important that you write them. You've got to write it down. Not only do you need to write it down on a piece of paper or a Word doc or whatever, you got to write that on the tables of your heart. That's what we'll talk about at the conference. The most important thing is that vision is written upon the tables of your heart. Why? So you can run that readeth it. See, vision is a glimpse of the future. Vision shows you what is out there. Why? So you can run towards it. Vision is not meant just to be something like, it's not just meant to be an idea. It's not meant to be something, oh, that's nice. Oh, how wishful that could be. That's not what vision should do. Vision doesn't give us a wish mentality. Vision gives us a run after it, a go after it mentality. If you have a vision, that thing will stir inside of you and you got to get up and run. Now, understand this. The power of vision. The power of vision. What can vision do? Vision can be an incredibly powerful guiding force. Let me say that again. Vision can be an incredibly powerful guiding force. Last week, I put a video out and see what vision does is wherever you are, I don't care where your current state is. I don't care if you're tens of thousands of dollars of debt like I was. I don't care if you don't have a position, a title in your organization, in your church. It doesn't matter. Anyone can have a vision. God gives severally to every man as he will. God will give us a vision. He'll give us a glimpse into our future. He'll give us a glimpse into our purpose. He'll give us a glimpse into our destiny. And see, what does vision do? It provides us that glimpse into the future. Why? Because it inspires us. Vision stands for inspired vision. Vision will inspire us to run. Vision will inspire us to run. And by the way, it felt kind of weird to give a citation of my own book. Okay, you can find this on page 12 of this book. All right, but what it does is it gives you a glimpse, and that glimpse should make you hungry. That glimpse should whet your appetite. That glimpse should cause you to want more. Now, what is vision? Vision is a thought, a concept, or an object formed by the imagination. God created our brains so that we can have an imagination. Now, the enemy has tried to use it, but listen, God gave us imagination. And what does imagination, what does vision mean? It also means unusual discernment or foresight. Unusual discernment or foresight. We talked about the gifts last night. Word of wisdom gives us a glimpse. It gives us a piece of God's future, of his destiny, of his will towards us. And vision can be an experience in which a person, thing, or event appears vividly and credibly to the mind. Sometimes God, we talked about open visions last night. God can give us a vision, and I'm telling you, it could be so clear. It's like it's happening right in front of you. Although not actually present, often under the influence of a divine. In our case, the ultimate divine is God. Vision can be the ability to think or plan the future with imagination or wisdom. I think one of the tricks of the enemy is to get us so consumed with what's going on now that we think our present state is our destiny. See, the enemy, the trick of the enemy, what happens is when all these different difficult things are happening, all we can think about is the now, the tyranny of the urgent. That's what the enemy tries to get us to do. We're like this. Our vision is this. Our vision, the Bible talks about people who are flat nosed. They can only see like this far. Okay? We don't want to be like that. We want to understand that God has a future for us. God has a destiny for us. And guess what? It's greater than our current state. See, having a vision, it can change. It can absolutely transform the trajectory of your life. When God gives you a vision, it could absolutely change everything. I'm going to give you an example that I put in my book. There was a gentleman, what he did was he created a vision board. His first vision board, a vision board is images and pictures of things that you are aspiring to. Now, in his very small apartment, what he did was he wrote out a vision board, and his vision board was very simple. It was a check for $100,000 that he wrote to himself. And what he did was he taped it upon the ceiling of his bedroom. Well, why did he do that? Every time before he would go to bed, right? When your subconscious is starting to kick in, he would look at that. And then every time he woke up, that would be the first thing that he would see is that check for $100,000. And every day he set that goal for himself. He wanted to make $100,000 in a year. At that point, this individual was only making $8,000 a year. $8,000 a year. That's like that's less than $700 a month. Okay? That could barely pay most of our rent, right? And so what happened? Well, after doing this, basically what he was doing, you know what he was doing? The Bible says, thou shalt meditate on the word day and night. That's what he was doing. He was meditating on his vision. He was meditating on what was put in his heart to do. You know what happened? In that first year, he made $92,000. He went from making $8,000 to $92,000. And you know what he started doing? You know what his wife said? Well, you think that could work for $1 million? He said, well, it worked for $100,000. Let's try it. You know what he did? He started doing that. He wrote a check out for $1 million. He started thinking about that. He started visualizing that. You know who this individual's name is? His name is Jack Canfield. He is the author of Chicken Soup for the Soul. And if you're not familiar with this, there are numerous books. Basically, he has helped co-author or author 150 books. 66, almost half of his books have been bestsellers. He sold over 250 million copies in print. Think about that. This man was making $8,000. But he tapped into the power of vision. And you know what? This man is now worth over $50 million. 50 million, from 8,000 to 50 million. Now, understand this. If we as individuals, if we close our eyes and we vividly visualize ourselves performing a particular behavior, our brain is going to process that information in the exact same manner as if you had performed that behavior in real life. See, the reason why the Bible says thou shalt meditate day and night, okay? Thou shalt meditate day and night on the word. This book of the law shall not depart from you, but thou shalt meditate on it day and night. You know why? Because what starts happening is you start programming yourself. You start programming your mind. See, your body, your nervous system, it cannot tell the difference between if you're actually doing something or if you're imagining something. See, researchers found that when the brain conceives an idea, it generates impulses throughout the body that facilitate neurons to perform the idea being conceived. Understand this just from a natural standpoint. Let me just take you into the natural here. From a natural standpoint, human nature, the way we're created, the way God created our nature, if you have an idea and you really start thinking of that idea, something starts happening physiologically, neurophysically. Something starts happening. You have an idea. All of a sudden, there's electrical impulses that start going off. Neurons start firing off. To give you an example, researchers found that when weightlifters visualize themselves performing a lift, the imagery, that vision, that thing in their mind, there was subliminal activity that happened in the muscles that were associated with that performance. So if a weightlifter looks at a weight and they visualize themselves lifting that weight, what happens is your body, something starts happening, electrons start firing off, neurons start firing off, and those specific muscles start adapting to what that vision is. So there was, I'll never forget, Jed Biasotto. He was a world-class power lifter. He was only 132 pounds, but he kept visualizing lifts. He kept visualizing himself lifting. And you know what ended up happening? He became a world-class power lifter. He was described before he started lifting weights as having a body of a broomstick, okay? Real skinny, okay? No muscle. But that man lifted 600 pounds on his back for a squat. 132-pound gentleman lifted 100 or 600 pounds and set numerous world records. What he would do is not only would he, exercise in the gym, but when he wasn't exercising, he was constantly thinking of technique, constantly thinking of form. So what was happening is not only was he lifting weights in the morning, but throughout the day, it was like his body was being trained day and night. Thou shalt meditate day and night. Now, let me give you another example. There was a gentleman by the name of Nathan Sharansky. He was a computer specialist in the former Soviet Union, and he was imprisoned wrongly and accused of spying by the KGB. The KGB is kind of like the FBI or CIA, okay? They threw him in jail. They didn't just throw him in jail. They didn't just throw him in prison. He was sentenced to solitary confinement for nearly a decade. Solitary confinement, you are by yourself. You don't get to interact with anybody. You don't get to interact with anybody. For 10 years, he was by himself. It is the second worst penalty next to the death penalty. You know what he did? He said this: I might as well use this opportunity to become the world champion in chess. He loved chess. He had a passion for chess. He grew up playing chess. So what did he do? I was amazed when I saw this quote because look, he said, I'm going to use this opportunity. The man was thrown into solitary confinement. And he says, you know what? I'm going to use this as an opportunity. I'm like, are you kidding me? One of the worst punishments you can receive? And he called it an opportunity. Now, what happened? Years later, once he got out, there was a news article that said Nathan Sharansky, the man who beat the world chess champion. That man spent 10 years in solitary confinement, and all he did was think about chess. He played millions of games in his mind. He imagined every single move that can happen on a chessboard. He was in solitary confinement. He didn't have a chessboard. He didn't have an iPhone. He didn't have a computer. He didn't have anything but his mind. And what happened? He beat a world champion. He beat the world champion. Now, let me show you the power of visualization. Let me help you understand the power of vision. 90% of the information sent to the brain is visual. 90% of the information sent to the brain is visual. 93% of all human communication is visual. 93% of all human communication is visual. Now, if you put a post out there. Okay, you put a post out there on Facebook or whatever, right? You will have 94% more views if you have an image than if you had only text. If you only had text compared to if you had some kind of visual, 94% more views. As a matter of fact, Instagram, when they first opened up, when they first were launched, when they first were released, they had over 30 million iPhone users in less than 2 years. In 18 months, they had 30 million iPhone users. And see, what Instagram is, you can't post anything unless it's a picture or a video. You can't just post text. You have to have something visual. And within 1.5 years, 30 million viewers. They were becoming such a threat, Facebook had to buy them for over $1 billion. Within a year and a half, they posted this thing for social media. Year and a half, $1 billion. Why? Because they recognize the power of visualization. Understand this, that the human brain processes visual information 60,000 times faster than text. Let me say that again. Our brains will process images 60,000 times faster than text. Is it any wonder that God put an apostle's heart to do this class about seers, to do this class about watchmen, intercessors, dreamers? Why? Because God created us this way. And see, the thing is that the world has capitalized on this. Marketing agencies go crazy over visualization, right? Marketing agencies go crazy over visualization. Hollywood will come up with all kinds of graphics, CGI, computer generated animation, all these kind of different things, right? Is it any wonder that our ancient civilizations used hieroglyphics instead of text? They would create pictures. What are you getting at? This power of visualization, it is innate inside every one of us. I am fully convinced that God put this mechanism inside of us. Every good and perfect gift is from above. But see, understand this, when we're talking about envisioning your future, it is often difficult to paint a picture of the future upon the canvas of today. It is so difficult to paint a picture of the future. It is so difficult to imagine something that is far different than what we are going through today. And by the way, you can find that on page 14 of my book. Now, understand that our current state canvas is a collection of thoughts, beliefs, and experiences to date. Our current state canvas is a collection of thoughts, beliefs, and experiences to date. However, it does not necessarily dictate our future state. Okay? Your current state does not, and I repeat, does not dictate your future state. See, what you've done in the past, what you've done currently, that's what you currently are. That is not your potential. That is not your potential. Potential is future tense. That's chapter 3 in my book. It doesn't dictate your future state, but watch this, it can contain clues. Your current state can contain clues, but you've got to know what to look for, because those clues, they're not always apparent, but they can give us glimpses into our potential. The dream room, Apostle is talking about the dream room. Woo-hoo, I am getting excited about that. The dream room. Now, let me give you an example. See, your current state does not dictate your future state. And you can have clues, but you got to have watchmen. You got to have people who are really trained, who have keen discernment to be able to help you see those clues. Because if not, all you're going to think about is what you currently are. Now, let me give you an example. I'll never forget, I took a personality test. And this personality test, it had what your strengths were, but it also had your blind spots. And at the time when I took this test, this was years ago, I was making $6.49 an hour. $6.49 an hour. Now, when I was down in Tennessee, I was talking to the young people, and I'll never forget, I was talking to a beloved spiritual daughter. Her name is Atira. Atira Love, beautiful, wonderful person. I was telling her, she was telling me how much she was making, and she wasn't making that much. And I said, "You want to know how much I was making? I was making $6.49 an hour." She took a look at me. She said, "Oh my God, you was poor." I wasn't just poor, I was poor. That's a next level of poor. That's a next level of poverty. Okay. So anyway, I took this personality test and it showed the blind spots. And the blind spots said this: owing to their desire to move on to the next challenge or toward their larger goal, they sometimes make decisions too hastily. My wife, if she's watching, is probably screaming at the top of her lungs, amen. Now, it also said because they take a logical approach to life, they can be tough, blunt, impatient, and insensitive to the needs and feelings of others when they don't see the logic of those feelings. See, I can upset people really bad because if I don't understand their logic of why they feel or think a certain way, I can look at them like, what? What are you thinking? Why are you doing that? Right? And I don't mean to be rude, but you know what? It's kind of rude, right? And I'm telling you, everybody, when they heard about this, when they saw these blind spots, and they were like, "Oh, that's you, Neil. Oh yeah, that could be you. That's you, right?" And see, the thing is, you can have people. See, if you're surrounded by people that have limited vision, that aren't watchmen, they're just going to keep reminding you of what you are and what you were, because that way it stops you from progressing to what you can be. All right, that's why you got to have watchmen. And it also said their impersonal approach to life leaves little time, tolerance, or compassion for emotions, even their own. A lot of times I'll just keep going and not really emotionally process things. And then, unfortunately, when I process this, it can be too late because it can come out as an outburst. Okay. Thank God I had watchmen. I had a spiritual watchman, Apostle Eric, and many others to be able to help me with this. I'm still working on things in my life. Lift your hands, glory to God. Unfortunately, this is all I saw. All I saw were the blinds. All I saw were the weaknesses. All I saw were the negative traits, if you will. Now, when I would read, and I talked about this, and when I read the strengths, it said this: as business executives. I almost stopped reading after that because it said business executives. I'm making $6.49 an hour. I am so low on the org chart. I am so low on the totem pole. My neck hurt looking up at everybody. I'm like, business executive, what are you talking about? They can use their long range thinking to develop contingency plans and map out the best course to meet their goals. Understand, there was a prophetic call on the inside of me. There was a seer on the inside of me, but I needed a watchman to help me discover this, because all I knew was all the other stuff. All I knew was the negativity. It is very difficult to envision your future when you are looking at the canvas of today. But you need watchmen to help you paint that picture. They usually rise to the top of organizations by using their ability to influence others and their ease at meeting and networking with people. I had to learn this. God had to put somebody in my life to help me walk through this. What are you getting at? When I look back where I started, making $6.49 an hour, working 3 jobs, to where I am now as a transformation architect, to a consultant that works with executives that does exactly this. You've got to understand, envisioning your future is going to take some effort, because you're going to have to look past your present. You're going to have to look past your past. You have to look at what can be, not what currently is. But see, there's something on the inside of us. It's an auto guidance system. God put this inside of us. Something automatic and extraordinary happens in your mind when you create and focus on a clear picture. When you get a vision from God, when God gives us a vision and we recognize that vision, and we get with other watchmen, we get with counsel, we get with other people, what starts happening is something automatic. God put this inside each and every one of us. Something automatic starts happening. All of a sudden, there's a guidance system. There's a navigational system that starts guiding you towards this vision. And let me tell you something. It's not just in attaining the vision. See, Harvard researcher Sean Achor, I love what he defines. He defines happiness. You know what happiness is? Happiness. Happiness is the joy we feel pursuing our potential. See, when you're on this journey of envisioning your future, you understand that every time you take a step, there's a joy that's created because you're pursuing your destiny. You're pursuing potential. You're pursuing your vision. You're pursuing purpose. And there's something inside that says, you know what? I may not be where I want to be, but I'm better than I used to be. Okay, I may not be at that ultimate endpoint, but you know what? I am enjoying taking this journey. I enjoy growing. I enjoy developing. I enjoy being inspired to pursue this vision. I want to leave you with this. The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of your dreams. See, my mission, my desire, my purpose, my design, my vision in life is to help you fulfill yours. My prayer for you today is that God would give you the spirit of wisdom and revelation, that the eyes of your understanding would be enlightened. And as you come to the conference, as you go to this class, as you start pursuing vision, something stirs on the inside of you. Something, this passion, this energy you starts propelling you past where you currently are today. God bless you, everybody. Thank you. And by the way, if you want a copy of the book, the link is in the comments. Thank you.